This morning we were talking a little bit, I was having a conversation, and the concept of fear came up. And so I thought that's something I experience quite regularly, so it's probably worth sharing and talking about. And, I don't think fear is really talked about much in the ancient scriptures of Buddhism, or at least they don't use the word fear. I'm sure it's covered in some way, but that exact sort of our idea of how we break fear out and delineate it doesn't seem to happen the same within Buddhism. But for me it seems to be like a very useful thing to look at it from, you could say, a Western point of view. What is fear? And usually I think of fear whenever I become angry about something, agitated about a situation. Whenever I look deeply, I always find that underneath of that is fear. There's, not to say that that is always the case, but I've never seen it other than that. So maybe there are situations where you can have anger without fear, but I've never experienced it. It always is a thing of, I'm afraid, and therefore I get angry to feel safe, to kind of cover up the fear and to feel powerful so that I can handle a situation I don't want to have to deal with. So that's pretty much always there that I've ever seen. And then we were talking that fear is a very convoluted thing. It's quite strange. It's, in my experience, I get, I have an experience of anger, and then I say, well, what's underneath of this? And I start looking, and I find fear. And oftentimes it's very hard to find fear, even to locate that fear, because I'm looking for it in the wrong place. And I will sit there and say, I'm angry about this situation, and I look at the superficial situation that's happening, and I say, is there fear here? And I say, no, there's no fear, I'm just angry. But it's because I'm looking in the completely wrong place for that fear. And if I look long enough and hard enough, I find something much deeper and much more deeply rooted. So often it comes from, past experiences, some assumption about the situation, about how it's going to turn bad whether I like it or not. And that's where the fear is. It's not necessarily the superficial fear of, oh, I'm going to have to go talk to this person, they're going to beat me up or something. But, something way deeper usually that's like, often comes down to, oh, they're going to criticize me and I'm a bad person, or it often comes down to self-esteem and issues like that. So not only does fear kind of hide itself naturally, because we don't really want to look at it, so it's easy for it to hide, but also it's counter to our own goals. I mean, fear comes up because we become attached to something, and then we have some thought or idea that we're going to lose that thing, whatever it is, or attached to an idea, attached to a situation, attached to a person, attached to an object, and then we have some idea that it's going to get lost, and then we get afraid. But in my experience, it's actually counterproductive, and that fear actually makes it harder for me to keep the situation that I wanted. And that if I let go of the fear, oftentimes the situation, I won't lose the object. I won't be grasping at it so strongly and such a strong concept of what it has to be to make me happy. And then it just, the issue resolves itself. And even if in the resolution of the issue I lose the object, or I lose the person, or I lose whatever it is that I'm afraid of losing, it doesn't bother me, because I don't let the fear drive me. And when I find that when I act out of fear, I'm never happy with the results. There's just never a time when I'm actually fully content. So I might think I'm happy because I got what I wanted, but there's something about this, it's never quite good enough. And that's because when I'm afraid and I'm grasping at a situation, I'm also building expectations about how that situation is going to make me happy. and then I get what I want, and I, beat off all the people who are trying to take it from me, and it still doesn't make me happy anyway. So in the end, it's kind of like it completely is self-defeating. The whole purpose of having fear, it goes against what we're trying to get from the situation. And so maybe not so useful. So I don't know. Give a look at that.